any recommendations or tips or best practices for investors that maybe are looking to start a project, in the second half of this year?
Yeah, definitely don't wait on nothing. If there's a project thing, don't wait on permits. Get materials ordered early. Get your contractor early. Get your designer early because we're all swamped and everything's taking longer.
YouTube, have you guys noticed the escalating costs of construction projects in 2020? Well, in today's YouTube video, I sit down with John from Blackjack Contracting. He's going to break down for us exactly the increasing costs he's seeing as a contractor on his real estate investor clients' projects. It's really important that you guys are updating your spreadsheets for the reality of 2020 because things like 2x4s, they've more than doubled in the last year. You need to be dialed in on exactly what's going on in regards to your input costs to make sure that your numbers are right so that you're going to profit at the end of that project. So in today's video, John's going to break down for us exactly what he's seeing as a boots on the ground contractor in 2020 when it comes to Canadian real estate, contracting, and construction prices. Let's jump into it.
What is up, YouTube? Matt McKeever here, and really excited for today's video where we're going to be talking about construction projects in 2020. And now, 2020 has just been a weird year in general, and construction it's really no different in the world of construction. So we brought on our local expert, John from Blackjack Contracting. Hey, John, how's it going?
Great, man. Thanks for having me back.
Yeah, and so I'm excited to talk to you about all the weird things maybe going on with construction projects in 2020. But before we do that, do you mind just refreshing the audience memory in case they haven't seen any of our previous videos? Who's John, who's Blackjack Contracting, all that good stuff.
Sure, absolutely. So I'm John Tenbrink. I'm a master electrician, general contractor, and my company's Blackjack Contracting Inc. We focus on real estate investors, and we do really our biggest market is we do duplex conversions. By the end of this month we'll hit 100 have done, so it's in 3 years. So we're pretty much an expert in that field. We're from the Hamilton market. We work in Hamilton, Brantford, Niagara, all anywhere in between, and we're starting out in Cambridge, Waterloo, Kitchener, London. So for a duplex, it's really the same thing. It's just learning the niches. So we're a 100% REI focused contractor, and that's what we do.
That's awesome. I didn't realize you guys were going to be hitting your 100th duplex conversion project.
Yeah, we're just about finished. We got about a week to go.
That's huge, man. That's a lot of projects in 3 years. That's crazy.
Yeah, and that's just the duplexes. We've done triplexes, a lot of burr renos, all that kind of stuff. But we're doing about 40 projects a year right now, and we hope to expand from there.
That's epic. All right. So anyways, let's jump into today's episode and talk about the world of construction projects in 2020. I'm not even really sure where to start it off. So where do you think we should start off?
Tell you the truth, it's going to get worse before it gets better. And 2020 is now a swear word. And I'll start off with the history. I guess it was March when it all kind of went haywire. So we had inkling in February what was going on. We were all confused. We didn't know if we were going to be out of business. We made it through the whole thing open, scaled down version, obviously. Material started becoming an issue April-ish. The big box stores, we were lining up at 5 a.m. because they're only allowed, one person at a time, or, when it really hit and they had that curbside only, that was a nightmare. But it's slowly improving that way. Unfortunately, material prices are skyrocketing. Delivery times are skyrocketing, and I'll go into specific instances shortly if we've got any other, but I don't know if you have any other questions before I go to that.
No, let's explore the input costs and how they're changing because...
Well, here's just a simple example is that a 2x4 at the beginning of the year was $3.85. As of last night, it was $6.15. And really that explosion has happened in the last 3 weeks, and we're in the early parts of September here. And then, we all know the pressure treated game, but if you haven't tried to build a deck this year, so a deck board, a 5-quarter deck board, has been pretty much non-existent in stock since July. I made the mistake of, buying my kids an above ground pool and tried to make a little deck. We got halfway through it and couldn't get any more material. So at least we got to use it. I have a front porch that's not finished and an annoyed wife, and but it's been unbelievable. So you go into Home Depot, looks like a ghost section. So you have to pretty much go into stores at 5 a.m. right when they open. You might find a load that haven't dropped out there, but apparently the reason is because it's all coming from BC, and between COVID delays, shipping delays. But now we're getting in obviously to the cooler months, so the desire is not going to be as strong, and so hopefully it comes back in the spring strong. But that's just a small example. Now for most REI projects, it's not, pressure treat is not really an issue. But I mean, you want to fix up a front porch or something like that, it's been a challenge.
Yeah.
And then,
and I guess before we move on to other input costs, when we're looking at the cost of lumber, obviously no one's got a crystal ball, but from suppliers or other contractors you're talking to, is this the new normal? Do you think, is this a temporary thing?
we all think that in the industry that this is the new normal because they can. I honestly think it's not as much of an issue as they're making as they can. Home Depot made $4 billion profit in one quarter. They set their own personal record during COVID because basically people aren't traveling. People aren't doing anything. They're spending the money on their homes. So outside even real estate investing, just in the regular general market, its rentals are as busy as they've ever been. Materials flying off shelves, and so it's just driving up prices, and I just can't see it going back to the old way now that they know what they can do. So I mean, just a small example on a duplex conversion, you use about 350 studs. That's, what, do the math, with like $2,000 extra in material just before you even start, right? So it's small things like that.
I appreciate you sharing that example too. That's a perfect illustration of how it exactly hits your bottom line.
Yeah, and that's just one thing. So
outside of like lumber, are you seeing price creep in other categories as well? Like, is it the same with
pricing is pretty much going up across board, not obviously as drastic as that. So what's another good example? Like window prices, for example. Windows are used to getting 2 weeks. Now we're at 7 weeks. And so it's all across the bottom line. We're seeing effects on everything. Like deliveries became, obviously super important this year. And, they were full price. And that's been, relatively reasonable. But the delays in time, it used to be 1 or 2 days and you're going 2 weeks. And we're having, major inspection time issues and permit time issues.
That was a subject I was hoping to hit on too. So obviously each city and municipality is going to be different, but what are you seeing in the markets that you regularly deal with?
They're all massively behind, but I'll use a good example like the Hamilton, which is, very popular for the duplex market or, real estate investing. It's getting, hard, but permit time was usually 2 to 3 weeks. And I had one this summer go 4.5 months. Which is insane. Variances, for small variances, used to be 4 to 6 months. We've seen them take over a year now. We've seen, there's a local BCIN designer, Ken Beacon, very popular in Hamilton, and he was telling me like 30 on the docket, and we're seeing major delays. In every city, we're seeing major delays. They're all making the excuse that they're working from home and stuff like that, which to me would make it go faster, but, I don't work for the city. So timelines are getting screwed, which, time is money, especially with these deals. And so it's not been obviously the best year. We're all doing the best we can here, but you just got to plan for patience and plan for more holding costs.
Yeah. And so as we're seeing these costs creep up, are you seeing demand decrease? Like, are people deciding to do less renovations? Or?
Believe it or not, no.
Hey, YouTube, have you guys been enjoying the sponsorship splash page we have at the end of every YouTube video now? Do you guys like it? Are you a business owner or maybe just a real estate influencer or investor and you'd like more exposure to potentially my YouTube audience? Well, now you can help support my YouTube channel as well as grow your personal brand or your business brand by sponsoring my splash page. It's really not that expensive, and if you want to find out more information, it'll be all below in the video description down. So just go grab it, reach out to my team, and let's chat.
Yeah. And so as we're seeing these costs creep up, are you seeing demand decrease? Like, are people deciding to do less renovations? Or?
Believe it or not, no. I mean, I think we're all just bored. But no, this has been the craziest construction year. There's nobody in construction that's not busy. Homeowners, real estate investors. I'm seeing prices at all-time highs, materials at all-time high, and I'm getting 5 to 7 duplex calls a week. And, that's just me.
Yeah.
And so it's, I guess people are just bearing with it and going ham. So good on them, but it's just a weird and confusing year.
Yeah. And so what sort of timelines are you guys looking at? Like, are you booked through the rest of 2020? What does
Yeah,
that
if I
look
didn't
like?
take another job, I could stay busy until January. But I mean, that's not my style. But yeah, no, it's insane. Like I have 16 active projects, and I got some that I want to wrap up in the next couple of weeks to get moving on the new ones. But and the honest truth of the matter is like if I lowered my pricing for some, I could sell double this, but I could never do it. So you got to be smart with this. But there's that much work out there right now. And if I wanted to work in the general market, I could do 50 jobs, but it's just I stick to real estate investors. But it's just insane, even refi values. I got customers getting great refi, so they're just doing more and more and more, and
Hmm.
it's just a crazy year.
Yeah, I think that's the one big takeaway too, is that while we're getting pressured on the input materials, right, people are also getting pressured on the acquisition cost of the properties, but it seems like they are still refining at the levels where it still makes sense, right? And
Yeah,
that's, I
yeah.
guess, why we see all these investors choose to keep moving forward.
Yeah, I haven't seen any downturn yet. And, I mean, even like here's a quick example. I saw a house 2 nights ago listed at 499 in Brantford, which was overpriced. It was a duplex conversion. It needed a complete reno. It was $170,000 job. It sold 80,000 over asking, and it was already an
Wow.
overpriced house in Brantford, right? So these are
Hmm.
these are now Hamilton numbers, and
Yes.
and it's just even in like the city of Welland, which is a small city
Yeah.
outside of St. Catharines, they've gone up 100,000 since last year. 150,000 since 2017, and so St. Catharines, which is near Niagara
Yeah.
Falls, there used to be a lot bigger market. Welland, because it's such an investor friendly city, is now more costly or more valued than St. Catharines, because St. Catharines is not a investor friendly city. But it's just what a weird transformation that's happening.
Hmm. And yeah, I don't want to get too tangential on the subject matter, but to me, it's fascinating when we see, the unintended consequences of government regulation, right? You make it hard to invest in one market, investors will take their ball and go play in a different field.
And it's happened.
Hmm.
They've made a big mistake, in my opinion. Like, I could do a whole video on that city, but we can, anybody that wants to reach out about that city, please reach out. I'll speak your head off for an hour. But no, I mean, you could definitely see the value in investor friendly cities.
Yeah. And so I guess on the subject matter of just, construction projects in 2020, any recommendations or tips or best practices for investors that maybe are looking to start a project, in the second half of this year?
Yeah, definitely don't wait on nothing. If there's a project thing, don't wait on permits. Get materials ordered early. Get your contractor early. Get your designer early, because we're all swamped and everything's taking longer. So if you, like, say, make an offer today on a property, get through your home inspection clause if you're using one, and the first available day you can get one of your site visits, get your BCIN designer on site with your contractor and get those drawings started, so that a couple of weeks before you close, the permits are already in the city and you can off to the races, because there's just a lineup right now. So no waiting on anything. Um, Understand that things are going to cost more. So give yourself a real healthy budget and a real healthy contingency. Otherwise, if the numbers don't make sense, they don't make sense, because
Yeah.
it's not good right now. Like, as in, for that reason, I mean, it's great for everybody in the industry, but there's just everything's more expensive. Everything's taking longer. So bring your patience and don't wait on anything. And make sure you're working with the right people right now, because they're getting booked up.
Yeah, that's really like great advice. Start lining up the dominoes as soon as you can so that you can start knocking them over. And obviously, if you did a project last year in 2019, probably should go get a new quote rather than assume that it's going to cost the same as
No,
last year's
no,
price.
nothing's the same. If it's more than 15 days old, get it done again.
I appreciate the perspective. And then I guess one last thing that I'm sure the audience is curious about, as we hit into the fall and winter, I know there's a lot of general talk about could there be a second wave of COVID? If
Yep.
there is a second wave, do you think will we see construction sites shut down the same way they did at the start of this year, or do you feel
Probably.
like businesses have figured out how to operate in
Yeah.
this new environment?
I think there's definitely not going to be the same as before. They knew they did everything in stages before. I think if the second wave comes, I think they're going to hit the brakes hard. But if I do believe the construction industry, especially for the smaller, not high rises and stuff like that, they let us go into small crew sizes if the permits were already active, and there was very little ramifications from that. So I think that they would probably use the same model. So as I said before, if you got projects happen, just get those permits done.
Yeah.
And they left us go, obviously with, very stringent
Hmm.
rules, but we were able to keep working, getting projects moved. I was on one of the biggest projects in my life in Welland, doing a like 11 unit, putting 2 new units in a basement, $300,000 project. And tell you the truth, that project saved us during COVID because we had our permits, we ordered the material in advance, and we just worked away. Well, this whole thing blew over. So it's just, no waiting right now. And, normally you'd buy your materials in advance.
Hmm.
If you can store them, buy storage unit, put a storage unit thing. But that's basically what it comes down to, is labor availability and material availability. So just, as I said before, no waiting on nothing right now.
Hmm. Yeah, I definitely appreciate that perspective, and that insight about the permits is invaluable. So again, just reiterate, any investors that are maybe thinking about starting a project in the second half of 2020, let's get those applications in now. Make sure we
That's
get
right.
approved, because there's a much greater chance we'll be able to continue to move forward, even if the rest of the economy has to shut down.
That's right.
Awesome, John. Well, appreciate it. You're always a wealth of knowledge. As we wrap up here, again, if anyone wants to get in contact with John or Blackjack, we're going to throw a link in the video description down below. You can jump over there as well. If you didn't know, John, you've actually started a new YouTube channel yourself, right? Or a new
Yes,
show?
sir. Yes, sir. It's the REI Contractor Show. It's on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. And basically, we talk about real estate investing from a construction and contracting point of view. So we're not going to be telling you how to do your mortgage rules and all that stuff, but we'll help you get your projects done on time and on budget.
Love it. That's going to be an invaluable resource. So make sure you guys jump over. We'll throw a link in the video description down below. And again, thanks, John. Appreciate it.
Appreciate having me on, man. Hope to be back again.
Thanks again to John for taking the time to just really explain what he's seeing when it comes to construction costs and prices in 2020. I know this is an area that real estate investors always have tons of questions about. So if you've got some questions, jump in that comment section down below, hit us up, and I'll make sure on the next video, John covers them so that we can get to the bottom of whatever's holding you back from diving into your real estate investing journey. Otherwise, if you didn't know, John has recently launched his own YouTube channel. We'll throw a link in the video description down below so you guys can jump over, give him a subscribe, and just go support another great Canadian real estate investor that's also producing some amazing content. If you guys enjoyed my video, smash the like button, hit the subscribe button if you're new to my channel. I'll see you in the next video.